These are 10 players you need to trade for now in fantasy football before it's too late. Starting at number 10 with George Pickens, who was just terribly unlucky on Sunday. He had a 51-yard catch over Pat Surtain, get nullified on a hold. Then he had a 6-yard touchdown, get called back on offensive pass interference on Van Jefferson. And then he drew a 37-yard defensive pass interference on Surtain. So it could have been a much bigger day. I feel like every time Pickens made a play or even caught the football, there was a yellow flag laying on the ground. But Pickens cooked Surtain, one of the best corners in all of football, several different times on Sunday, and that alone was just very impressive to watch. George ranked top 6 in average separation score in both week 1 and week 2. For all those people out there who say George can't get any separation on his routes, he absolutely can. And while it all hasn't come together yet on that Pickens to Fields connection, I do think Justin Fields will be the Pittsburgh Steelers QB1 for the rest of the year, which is good news for George. But as this connection grows, and once they have one of those monster games, it's going to be a thing of beauty. Get Pickens on your team before he does erupt and have a huge game. I think Pickens is one of the easiest buy low candidates in all of fantasy football right now. At number 9, Jackson Smith-Njigba. The breakout party finally arrived in a massive way in week 2. We've been talking about JSN all offseason as a breakout candidate, and here we are. 12 catches, 117 yards on 16 targets, 23.7 fantasy points, a 36% target share, 170 air yards. Like, Seattle's passing game stalled out in week 1. Everyone's like, what? This isn't what we were expecting. It was really run heavy. And now here we are. JSN, DK, both had tremendous games. Finally on a creative Seattle offense led by new offensive coordinator Ryan Grubb. These are all things that we talked about. The situation is so much better for JSN. Shane Waldron is thankfully gone, and look at what he's doing in Chicago. Absolutely nothing. I just think Waldron is a bad offensive coordinator, and he really brought down this entire offense. We know the talent JSN has. He is on his way to a monster year 2. I'd be buying Jackson high right now before he has another big game, and the price only rises. He's the wide receiver 2 on this potent Seattle offense. He's leapfrogged Tyler Lockett. I'm really excited about what he's going to do this year on a really good Seattle offense where JSN looks like he's going to be featured. At number 8, Drake London, another guy that it was really good to see him play well. I know it started off kind of rocky, but he still finished with 6 catches, 54 yards, and a touchdown on 7 targets. I'm really encouraged here because Kirk Cousins said after the game, it's been pretty evident through the first 2 weeks that he's not healthy yet. He's a little rusty. He's not confident planting on that surgically repaired leg, coming off that Achilles tear. All understandable things, but we know the type of quarterback, the type of player Cousins is, the work ethic that he has, the talent that he has. This is going to come together. I want Drake London. I think you can still buy him for cheap. Get him on your team now, because if London is putting up these type of numbers with Cousins at less than 100%, what's it going to look like when Cousins is fully healthy? It's clear the Falcons want to feature Bijan Robinson in the run game, but when they're looking to throw the ball, it's going to be to Drake London. I don't know what's going on with Kyle Pitts. He just is invisible every single year. I don't really understand it, but in terms of London, I guess that's a good thing because I think London is going to get peppered with targets from the best quarterback that he's ever played with in his entire NFL career. And we know the talent. We know what Drake London can be. He's a 6'4" wide receiver that is an underrated route runner that can give you nice separation. He can make acrobatic catches. He can win 50-50 balls. Like, bet on really talented guys in good situations attached to good quarterbacks. It's all going to click for Drake London. I think this is a game that's going to jumpstart a breakout campaign for Drake London. Try to buy him cheap now. Get him on your roster and thank me later. At number 7, Jaden Reed, another guy who you can probably buy low now if the Reed owner in your league is panicking on what happened last week, or if he thinks Jordan Love is going to be out for a long period of time, then get Reed on your team for cheap. What we saw in week 2 was Malik Willis handing off the ball to Josh Jacobs as the Packers called a run play on 90% of their neutral script snaps. They wanted to run the football and it was working, so why stop? Malik Willis hadn't been with the team that long, probably didn't know a ton of the playbook. He's also a quarterback who hasn't shown much in his short NFL career. So they played it smart. The Packers did the right thing. But Jaden Reed didn't have a good game because they just ran the football. He had a couple short receptions, and that was about it. But we know what Jaden looks like when Jordan Love is the QB1. And it was reported that Love was close to returning last week, which makes me believe that there's a good shot Love plays this week. And even if you have one more week without Love, I would still be trying to get Jaden Reed on your team, because remember what he did in week 1? 33 fantasy points, 4 catches for 138 yards, a touchdown through the air, and then he had that 33-yard rush for another touchdown. Get the most talented wide receiver on a potent Packers offense on your team now. Buy low on Reed, who carries incredible upside because of his versatility and overall talent. At number 6, Brian Robinson Jr., another guy that I talked about all offseason that you could get at a really good value, who I thought was going to see workhorse volume on an improved Commanders offense, and he is doing just that on Sunday. 17 carries, 133 yards, and 7.8 yards per carry, as he saw 60% of the snaps compared to Eckler's 43%. But Robinson also ran more routes than Eckler. He's been incredibly efficient on the ground, 6 yards a carry. While Eckler has looked good in his own right, I think these guys can be a tandem, but it's clear and obvious that Robinson is the workhorse, that they want to feature this guy on the ground, through the air. Those are things that we like to see, and once the touchdowns start hitting, he has tremendous upside. If you're in need of a running back, I'd be aggressive getting Robinson on your team. At number 5, Brock Bowers just might be this year's Sam Laporta, and we should have seen it coming, as Bowers is one of the greatest college tight ends of all time. And through 2 weeks in the NFL, Bowers has been nothing short of special. He's first in yards and first in catches among tight ends, 27% target per route run rate, along with an impressive 2.64 yards per route run. This is far from a fluke, and if someone in your league maybe has 2 tight ends or doesn't think that this is going to continue, get Bowers at a discount, because he's finished as the tight end 3 in fantasy in each of his first 2 weeks. He's one of Gardner Minshew's favorite targets. Devontae Adams takes away a lot of attention in the passing game, leaving Bowers in advantageous situations. I really want Brock on my team. He's passing the eye test. He's killing it statistically. He's just really good at football, and we might look back and he could easily be the best value at tight end in all of fantasy drafts this season. At number 4, Rasheed Shaheed did it again. He might be the steal of fantasy drafts at the wide receiver position. He ran a route on 96% of the dropbacks in week 2 and is the main beneficiary so far of the Saints' new offense, the new system under offensive coordinator Clint Kubiak. They are just running a ton of motions and play action, something that they didn't do nearly at all last year. This year, it's the complete opposite, and you're seeing it. I mean, the Saints are crushing teams on offense. Derek Carr is looking like a completely different quarterback, and Shaheed hasn't even hit his ceiling yet because the Saints haven't had a competitive game through the first 2 weeks, so it's been blowouts. Shaheed gets his 70-yard touchdown and then doesn't do much after that, but what's going to happen when they are actually in a competitive game or in a negative game script where they need to play from behind? You're going to see what Shaheed is capable of. He's not just a deep threat. He is much more than that. This can be a guy that can give you 5 to 8 catches, 100 yards, and a touchdown. He is special. Derek Carr loves him. They're using him in a ton of creative ways, and I'd be aggressive trading for him, getting him on your team before week 3. Also, Chris Olave has to be mentioned here as another buy low candidate. At number 3, James Cook. The knock on Cook all offseason was he doesn't score rushing touchdowns and he doesn't get opportunities on the ground in the red zone. Well, you can put all those concerns to rest, because in week 2, 3 touchdowns, one from 40 yards out, another one from in close, one through the air, while averaging 7.1 yards per carry. I think that this is going to stick. I think that this is going to continue on an offense that really needs him with Diggs and Davis gone. Cook is the trusted guy on this offense. Allen loves him. Obviously, Joe Brady and the play calling is in Cook's favor, and he's scoring touchdowns. Cook had a tremendous year last year. I believe he had 1,500 total yards last year, which you kind of forgot about because he scored no touchdowns. But like I said, the knock was, he's never going to get in the end zone, so I don't really want him on my team. But we know what he can do in terms of yardage on the ground, through the air. And now that he's getting touchdowns, we're looking at a league winner here that's a focal point of a pretty good Bills offense, everything considered. So I think that this is going to continue. I have no problem buying high on Cook, who looks like this offense is kind of being built around him, which is something most people didn't see coming. But here we are. James is looking like a league winner. Get him on your team while you can. At number 2, Jamar Chase. I feel weird even putting Chase on this list because we know the type of player that he is. We know the talent that he has. He's starting the year slow because he held out all of offseason looking for a new contract. Didn't get it, but Jamar ran 98% of the routes in week 2. There's literally nothing to worry about. And the matchup in week 3 is a type of game where Jamar is going to have 10 catches for 200 yards and 2 touchdowns, and no one will bat an eye as the Bengals are going against one of the worst defenses in all of football, the Washington Commanders. So get Jamar on your team before he absolutely explodes like we all know he can and will in week 3. And at number 1, Garrett Wilson. Yes, I know he hasn't got off to that start that we thought he would with Rodgers back as QB1, but it's only been 2 weeks. This offense needs time to gel. Rodgers is kind of similar to Kirk Cousins, needs to dust off the rust. He's an older quarterback coming off a torn Achilles. Like, let him get comfortable. He didn't look comfortable in week 1, looked better in week 2. Like, Wilson's still getting the targets, and he's getting 100% of the route participation through the first 2 games, 29% target share, 45% air yard share. Like, I'm not panicking in the slightest. I want Wilson on my team everywhere that I can. Buy him low, buy him high if you have to. I don't care. Wilson is in for a huge season. It's going to click. It could happen in week 3. So get him now this week because there's no reason to think otherwise. It's Wilson, Hall are the 2 focal points of this offense. It's been a lot of Breece Hall the last couple of weeks, but Wilson is going to have that humongous monster breakout game that we're all waiting for. It's coming. I promise you that it's coming. So get him on your team before that happens, because once it does, it's going to be almost impossible to trade for him. Some other quick buy lows: DJ Moore, Brandon Ayuk. If you can get these guys for dirt cheap on your roster right now, I'd absolutely do it. That's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching. If you took away anything from the video, if you could please subscribe to the channel, like the video. It helps me out more than you know, and I will see you in the next one.